Happy Thursday, everybody. It's Jim, it's Amadeus, and well, we got the ponies coming up tomorrow with the Kentucky Oaks and the 150th running of the Kentucky Derby on Saturday, Amadeus. And I know horse fans and, the casual fan, because this attracts the casual fan, are all excited about Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a big day. I mean, what do they call it? The fastest 2 minutes in sports.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the biggest events of the year for sure. You can consider it like your golf or tennis majors as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's up in that echelon of competition. So definitely, this is the big one because it's the first that leads into the Triple Crown races.
Right.
So a lot of excitement this Saturday for sure.
Absolutely. Let's get you some information here real quick. Coverage of the race, and they're going to do the entire race day from Churchill Downs. That's going to start at 2:30 Eastern time. That's 2:30 Eastern time, and it will be on NBC and Peacock, so you can stream it there. Now, the other thing is that why I'm saying it's 2:30 start. The actual post time for the race is 6:57 Eastern time. So basically, almost till almost 7 o'clock. So that's a whole day of racing. You're going to be, you're getting to know a great deal about Churchill Downs by the time the race is running. So they'll have plenty of features and all that stuff. It's again on NBC and on Peacock streaming here in the U.S. So that's where we are with that. But you've had a chance to take a look at the horses. What what if anything, or any horse I should say, strikes your fancy?
Yeah, so definitely the favorite on the board right now is a horse named Fierceness at
Hmm.
plus 250. They are the favorite, and I talked to my good friend. He's really big into horse
Hmm.
betting. Absolutely loves this time of year. He'll just bet on horses, on an average day too. So it's
Right.
not just he doesn't come out of the woodwork for these big competitions. And basically,
Right.
he was telling me that Fierceness is a solid favorite at plus 250. Definitely one of the best horses in the race. The way he does it, he told me, is that there's a certain criteria he follows for these bigger races where
Hmm.
to do well at this specific track, the horse has to fall into a certain number of categories, as something like 80% of the winners of past Kentucky Derbies have fallen under these categories. So
Hmm.
basically, what he told me is there's only two horses this year that are falling into those categories. We have the Fierceness at plus 250. And he told me the best chance we got at catching Fierceness is Catching Freedom. And you can get Catching Freedom at plus 900. So
Whoa.
definitely some good odds on that one for what he thinks
Hmm.
is going to be the closest horse in this race to Fierceness. So definitely getting some value there with Catching Freedom.
One of the things over the years that has been indicators has been how the horse has done in the Arkansas and Florida Derbies. And the reason those two particular races are, you know, basically um, things that you look at is that the tracks are very similar. And so, from a horse's standpoint and from a jockey standpoint, you know what you're getting into if you run in those races. So there is a comfortable aspect to it, and so we'll see. I mean, that the odds-on favorite that you're talking about Fierceness, um, you never know, right? I mean, it may be the odds-on favorite, but you only have to have one bad day, and that can take it out. So I mean, in some ways that's the beauty, and in some ways that's the curse of the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, definitely, and you can certainly eliminate some horses right off the bat.
Hmm.
Obviously, we had the big 50-1 winner a few years ago, but really
Yeah.
that's a very rare occurrence. It doesn't happen often, so pretty much those kind of odds, 50 to 1, 40 to 1, you can kind of scratch those horses. Like, it's okay, pick one that you like as your long shot, but don't be banking on them winning the turn or winning the race, sorry, because as you said, it's similar to golf where um, you're going to get value on all these horses, right? And as you said, it depends just what horse is going to have a bad day. Like, Fierceness is the best horse in the race, but at plus 250, that's not a bad price. But, the same thing goes in golf where, like, if you're going to bet Scotty Scheffler at plus 250 in
Hmm.
every tournament, yeah, he's bound to win a couple tournaments along the way. But at the price you're getting, is there really any value? Are you making any money on that long term if you were to do that? Obviously, this is just one race, but as we've seen in years past, it doesn't really pay out to play the favorite in this race all the time.
Hmm. The other thing too about Churchill Downs is there's some trainers, Baffert being one of them, Bob Baffert being one of them, who understands that there are horse race, there are horses that are built for that track, and he tends to, bring those horses. Now, a lot of those horses that Baffert brings are from California, and he does that because the the composition of the track is so much is there. It's actually kind of a soft track if you actually ever had the opportunity to actually touch it. It's actually quite comfortable. It feels like, how packed sand feels a little bit, where it's not like you're on anything hard, but it's also sturdy enough not to make you sink. And
Yeah.
so there's that kind of thing. Now, all bets are off if it gets wet, because that thing can become slippery, it can become muddy, it can become all kinds of different things. So if you're hoping, if you're gonna jump into this, you're gonna pray that it doesn't rain tomorrow. No, I'm sorry, on Saturday, in Louisville. But no, it's a fascinating thing. Why don't you give us some of the options? We were talking about, you and I, before in the pre-show. Boxing is not a bad idea, and why would that be?
Yeah, so you can always it's good because you're casting like a wider net
Uh
basically,
huh.
right, with your picks. And like we said, it doesn't always pay out to pay it doesn't always pay out to play the favorite in these big races, and we see
Right.
it all the time in the golf tournaments and the tennis tournaments. The
Sure.
big favorite at the beginning of the tournament doesn't always win. So it's one of those things where I would say the sweet spot for picking a horse is somewhere maybe in the plus 700 to plus 1500. Because, like I
Hmm.
said, we had the long shot, a few years ago, but it really rarely happens. So
Right.
anything more than plus 1500, you're starting to really get into that long shot territory, plus 2000 or more. And it could happen, but it's a lot less likely. And like I said, the favorite, they know the heavier bet horses are going to be the plus 200s, the 300s. Like Sierra Leone is one that's actually plus 300. So Fierceness is actually a slight favorite at plus 250. Sierra Leone is right there at plus 300, right? But those are going to be heavily bet horses because the average person who goes to bet this and doesn't have too much knowledge on the race, obviously they're going to pick one, maybe not Fierceness because they want a little more value, but yeah, and these are things, these are things that get taken into account. So that's why I say plus 700 to plus 1500. You're really starting to get into that sweet spot where I think that's where the winning horse will be this year.
And part of the fun aspect of it is just watching the race. I mean, it's a beautiful sport to watch from the standpoint of just how graceful the horses are.
Yeah, definitely very exciting sport to watch. Just another piece of information I can give you, just because we're
Sure.
talking about watching, is the start of the race is very important. Watch and keep in mind where what gate your horse is in as well, because a
Hmm.
majority of the winners of the Kentucky Derby actually come from the middle gates, about, like I would say 5 to 15, because it's very rare it happens that we get, someone on the outside. I think when we had the 50 to 1 long shot a few years ago, they were in gate 20. So that's what I mean, right? It just, as the long shot rarely wins, the horse from the 15, the outer lanes rarely win, because you're getting off to a rougher start. You have to have a faster horse that really can get itself back in the race when they all clump together. And then same goes for the inside, really, when you're watching again. Watch the beginning of the race, because you're going to see those first 5 horses as everybody's trying to come in to fight for that inside track. Those 5 horses that are right up against the
The
inside
rail.
when you
Yeah.
start. Yeah, they tend to get clumped up, jumbled up right at the beginning of the race if they're not fast enough to escape that initial
Hmm.
that initial clumping. So definitely got to keep that in mind. That's why 5 to 15. Keep in mind what gates the horses you're betting on are in as well.
And to your point, which is a good one, you can get pinned against the rail, and if you get pinned against the rail, you're doomed because there's no way
Yeah.
you're going to break it. Now, obviously, you just made the point, which is the big point. If you're out in front, you can break that. And in other words, it's going to be difficult for somebody to pin you to the rail if they're behind you. So that happens, but there's a lot of track to negotiate to get to that to that rail if you're not on the rail to begin with.
Oh yeah, definitely. So, like I said, you'll watch. We always see,
Mhm.
sometimes there's even a horse that goes down in that first, right
Right.
off the start, because they get caught. It's usually in those first 5 lanes. They get caught in
Hmm.
that jumble.
And two, there's always, and in most horse races, have between 7 and 8, horses in it. The Kentucky Derby can have 20, and horses are not used to running, against that much competition. So, you're going to get, um, they're kind of really very high strung to begin with. So, you know, anything that can bother them in that particular case bothers them. And you can't have that many horses on a track and not have somebody bumping into each other physically. And it can be a very you can lose the race in the first 100 yards.
Absolutely. You can lose the race before it even starts, because
That's a good
that's
point.
a
Yeah.
great point to make. Horses get spooked very easily,
Mhm.
and you'll see when they're lining up in the gates, as soon as the last horse hits the gate, they're starting that race, because
Right.
you can't keep them corralled in the gate there for very long, or they'll get spooked, they'll get
Right.
restless. So yeah, definitely, that's a great point to make. Whereas it's obviously it's a hard thing to tell, because you can't ask the horse, but you got to know where your
Right.
horse is at mentally.
Yeah. And as crazy as it sounds, the jocks are really, horse whisperers. They know how to calm a horse down. They know how to keep them, in line. What to do, how to do it, which is why you know, some of these jockeys are so, Angel Cordero and some of those guys were so, sought after, is because they knew how to settle a horse down that was, a little giddy at the beginning of the race. And all you have to do is watch when, as you said, when they get in that gate, they don't like it in there, which is why when they load the horses in, the goal is that last horse, if it needs to go in smooth, because the moment that horse is settled, that, that's actually, it's a magnet that holds the two together, the 8 together. And the moment that guy punches the button and the magnet lets loose and the gates open, everybody's off their races because they do not want to stay in that confined space for any great length of time.
Oh yeah, definitely.
My buddy Jason Worth, who played for Philadelphia and for the Nationals, he actually has a horse in the race this year, uh, Dormich. And what's the odds on Dormich?
Dormish. Let me just check here. I believe
Not a
plus
favorite.
two plus 2,000 is the odds on that one.
Yeah, well, you never know. I have a feeling that Jason's going to be out there chasing it. On the backstretch or something.
Actually,
He's
remember how
very
I told you they weren't listed in order on my page? That's actually the
yeah.
first horse on my page, the plus 2,000.
That's funny. That's funny. Um, yeah, knowing Jason, he likes to win so bad, he'll probably be out there chasing it with a baseball bat. But you know, it'll be an interesting thing. But yeah, I think that there's so much to watch in horse racing, it's kind of the cathedral. And it actually looks like a cathedral from a distance. Churchill Downs. There's going to be a lot of color. We get a lot of an audience that will never watch a sporting event other than perhaps the Super Bowl once a year, but they're there for the Kentucky Derby. So many, you know, casual fans are just fans of horses, and it's not even for the racing aspect. They just like horses, and so it's the old we'll pick the pretty brown one, and that's the one we want. Um, and it's and
I
we'll get
like the name on that one.
yeah. By the way, little bit of trivia, and that is you are allowed the names on the that the horses can not exceed 17 characters. And this was long before Twitter was around, so it has nothing to do with tweeting out names of horses. But yeah, 17 letters, and you
Yeah,
can
honestly,
mash together whatever. But yeah,
I will say I'm a little disappointed this year in the horse names. I think we're just a little lacking on the horse name department this year.
well, we've named all kinds of things. They should have given it to us.
No, I know, but I mean, last year, there was a lot more fun names. It's just I
Hmm.
don't find like one of them is called Sierra Leone. That's a country.
Yes,
Like what if I just bought a horse and named it Canada and threw it in the race? Like that's no fun. Come on, guys, right? And like, yeah,
well,
I'm just
in fairness, it would be a very well represented horse, but
yeah, and
yeah,
even the favorite, like fierceness, like that's too generic for me. Let's get a little creative with the horse names. They're
right.
supposed to be fun because, as you said, your average bettor who knows nothing about the sport because they don't bet often on this on horse racing, they're gonna sometimes pick. Oh well, I like that horse name. Well, this year I don't like any of the horses' names.
The only time I won money in horses, I made a bet on a horse called Silver Moon. It was at night. I was having dinner in the restaurant and looked out the window, and it was a full moon, and it was on the card. And I said, "Well, this must be fate." That's the only time I've won.
Well,
Not
it was
other
fate,
times. It
obviously.
was, yeah. But I picked on the name, just like you're saying.
Yeah, it
There's some
works
cool names.
sometimes.
I was hoping that they'd have Kool Aid McKinstry on here, but no, nothing, none of that.
Can ask and see
Um,
if he wants to run the race. Maybe he can be the one
oh well,
chasing
or
Don
or
Rush there.
or at least offer his name to one of the horse owners. That would be cool.
Yeah.
But
Here,
no,
sign here. Here's the rights to my name.
right. It's a name, image, and likeness to the horse. So one of the things, and it's controversial, and that is over the past 20 years, horses have been bred with very thin legs. Okay. And the rationale behind that is the thin legs, make the horse go faster, which is true. But part of the problem, if you remember 4 or 5 years ago, there were a number of horses that had to be put down or broke their legs because these horses are such um, amazing, and you can call them athletes because they have to perform in an athletic way. Um, they're running. So if you look at the races overseas, right, where they run in England or, as we said before, um, the Emirates or Saudi Arabia or some of these places where the big money is, those horses do not have those. The legs are much more, in proportion to what a horse normally would have. So there's been a controversy as to whether or not the United States needs to figure out a better way to protect the horses, because we have had, very unfortunately, in the Triple Crown races, we have had a few horses who have had to be put down. Um, in some cases, even on the track, um, because of these, very thin, very brittle legs that they're dealing with.
Yeah, that's just a problem, that comes with breeding, right? We see it all the time
Right.
with dogs
hmm
and purebreds. A lot of them have disorders now where
hmm
that was caused because as you breed in a certain trait with purebreds to get that, to get
Right.
what you like, right? You're breeding something out as well, and then now that
hmm
causes problems going forward. So yeah, it definitely needs to be addressed, but we'll see what happens on that end.
By the way, as a public service announcement, do not try a mint julep unless you want to drink cold, cold syrup, cough syrup. I'm sorry. Um, it is the worst god awful drink you could possibly imagine. So there you go. That is my my contribution to the public service of don't do it. If you're gonna have a Kentucky Derby party, just find a drink of choice and stay away. Call it a mint julep. Put a mint sprig in it. That'll be fine.
Yeah.
You'll be much better off. One of the things that the Kentucky Derby also does is it attracts a number of stars. So we expect that we'll be seeing and they'll be talking to. I mean, let's face it, they got 5 hours to fill on NBC, so they're going to be talking to more than a few people. So there you go from that standpoint. It's kind of funny. One of their handicappers you know, is Eddie Olczyk, of course, who played in the National Hockey League. And Eddie kind of, after a while, Eddie would be on the set of doing the NHL, and he would call in and say, "Hey, these are the horses I think are going to win." And then he got so good at it, they added him to their roster of handicappers.
Yeah, he's definitely a phenomenal horse at handicap for sure.
hmm
He's a name I hear quite often up here because of that hockey connection he had, and that's the thing, right? It's not like he just abandoned his sport. He was just so good at the horses that
hmm
he had to switch over there. So, and he loves it too. He loves what he's doing. He
Oh
loves
yeah,
handicapping the horses. So that's the
hmm
thing, right? He
it's a
loves the
match made
sport.
in heaven.
He
Yeah,
knows what he's talking about. So if you want some more advice on the Kentucky Derby, go give a listen to him as well.
absolutely. Eddie'll point you in the right direction. Um, Eddie, I knew Eddie when he was broadcaster for the Chicago Blackhawks. He was their home radio. I'm sorry, home TV color analyst, and he also did the Penguins for a while. But no, Eddie's a great guy. Eddie understands the horses really well. Doc Emery, God love Doc. Used to hand him money and just say, "Here, bet for me, bet for me," because I don't know what I'm talking about. You do, and Eddie would always come back and say, "Gosh, Doc, my horse won, but yours didn't. It's a shame." Um, and busting on each other. But anyway, it's one of those. It's one of the things you had mentioned golf, right? It's like the Masters, U.S. Open, um, I suppose the World Series, Super Bowl, that sort of thing. It's the one event where a number of people who are around sports want to be there, regardless of whether what sport they're involved in, or for that matter, just from a celebrity standpoint, you want to be seen at the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, you're not there to watch the race, that's for sure.
No, I mean they'll lose money on it, but
Yeah,
they
with the
definitely aren't there
celebrities
because
that
they
come
know what they're
out
doing.
and the hats that they show up in, it's
Oh
more
yeah,
like a Great Gatsby party.
yeah, it is. It's definitely a throwback, and not sure that it's a good throwback. It's just a throwback. Um, you know,
Hey, you
it's
making some cameramen some money, so
that's
that's
true. Yeah,
there's a
it's
positive
gonna.
out of it.
Yeah. There's some cash the check, boys. That is definitely worth a while, and but you'll get to see plenty of hats. That'll be sure. Not only do they now do it during the the post parade, but they also do it throughout the day because there frankly it's just so many hats to get pictures of that they. Also, some of the guys wear some of the wildest, you know, blazers that I mean, it's like they went and raided Don Cherry's, wardrobe. It's some of the loudest and craziest looking outfits I've ever seen. So,
And
and of
it's
course, the
even
men wear the
funnier.
hats too. What?
Yeah, it's even funnier how nice some of these celebrities dress, considering,
Hmm.
remember where we are on a dirty horse track where, especially on a rainy day, it can get muddy out there. It's not
Oh
the
yeah,
it's not the cleanest place to be, that's for sure.
yeah. Well, the good news for them is they're never going to leave the. They're never. They're never leaving the. The box seat area up there in once they get to the race track to Churchill, they're gonna be on the press box side, not on the back side of the area. That's usually just family, friends, and the trainers for tomorrow. So Kentucky Oaks tomorrow and Kentucky Derby you know on Saturday. By the way, shameless plug here. Um, we are going to have Amadeus and I won't be it, but we'll be watching. There's going to be a fun thing here on Capital Sports Network on Saturday. A just prior to the race in the afternoon, there's going to be a special pre-race show. So keep an eye out for it. And you know, if only what we'd like you to do is hit that bell, and anything that comes down on the Capital Sports Network, you'll get it. So that's coming up on Saturday, so I'm sure that they'll give you the latest odds and what's happening on that. Um, that is one of the things that sometimes at Churchill, when you have a couple of horses that are, the cream of the crop, they can switch back and forth a couple of times on race day.
Yeah, for the favorite you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I should have made that clear. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when it's as close as this is at plus 250, plus 300, I don't know if
Hmm.
Sierra Leone will overtake Fierceness, but it wouldn't
Right
shock me if they were both the same by the time the race went off. So
now, if you're boxing like that, does how does that affect the odds, or does it affect the odds?
I mean, I don't really do too many boxes myself, so I'm
Hmm.
not I'm not too sure how it affects the odds. I believe it still does, right? Because it's based off
Well, yeah, I
the
mean,
odds.
money's got to be on the horse, so you would have
Yeah.
to count on the horse.
Yeah, so if you're going with like a more heavy favorite, you're not going to get
Hmm.
as much odds as you would on the picking some of the more long shots. But
Hmm.
yeah, it all depends really.
So, and the other thing is, from standpoint of the races prior to the Derby, it you can watch. I would watch them only because they give you an idea of if the track is running fast for the day, or if the track is not doing it. I will say this: I, if the weather is good, there probably isn't a better track in the country with regard to just the way it is taken care of. It's very much like Augusta. From a standpoint, they know there's going to be the Kentucky Derby there every year, and so when the time comes, there that place is immaculate. So there's a reason that they run for the roses in 150th time. That's pretty amazing when you think about it, right? One specific sport is going to run its 150th time on Saturday.
Yeah, definitely. One of the longer, sports in history for sure.
Hmm.
150 years is a lot. That's before the 1900s. So yeah,
Yeah.
they've been they've been doing this for quite a while.
Yeah, they've been getting it right. The thing too, with regard to that, is back in the day in the 50s, and early 60s, it was baseball, horse racing, and boxing. Those are the three big sports in the country. And look at how things have have changed in that regard. We have you know baseball still is important, but the boxing world and the horse racing has kind of fallen off.
Yeah, definitely. The horse racing aspect has turned more into like a golf or
Hmm.
tennis, where there's races every day, but people are only concerned about when the big ones come around. So there's that. And yeah, boxing has really completely fallen off. UFC has really taken over, or any
Hmm.
belated mixed martial arts, whatever it is, that it's not boxing anymore, though. Definitely
No,
good point to make.
yeah. So there's that going on. So anyway, all right. Well, we have given you at least a taste of what's going on. Once again, you want to watch action tomorrow. Actually, if you want to watch things getting ready for the Kentucky Oaks, it's USA and Peacock at 1 o'clock. That'll take you all the way up to 6:30 whenever the Kentucky Oaks is going to be run. Then on Saturday, after you watch the Premier League in the morning, um, then you're going to go and hopefully catch the beginning of the Kentucky Derby Day, which starts at 2:30 Eastern Time on NBC. Stream it on Peacock, and you got yourself a full weekend of horse racing from Churchill Downs. So you're good to go there. Meanwhile, good to go. Uh, how about telling us about what's going on tonight in the show box below?
Yeah, for sure. And if you're looking for more information on the Kentucky Derby, like I said, I'm not a
Hmm.
big horse better. I won't be betting heavy on this, so I'll probably have some action on Catching Freedom. But other than that, if you're looking for more information, you can go to BigAl.com where you can get my premium picks. But also, Big Al McMorty himself, he has an article out on the Kentucky Derby that you can go check out. He lists his two contenders, his two pretenders, and he's got three long shots for you to consider. So go read that article. He also has a premium pick that you can buy on the Kentucky Derby if you want to know what his favorite horse is specifically. So check that out. But yeah, as for myself, make sure you check out my premium picks at bigal.com, pickadvisor.com, and theinsidersroom.com. The links are in the description below. We started off May with a great day yesterday, coming off a 7-1 day. Had a 6-1 day on the pitch. I'm 15-2 in soccer over the last 3 days, and I'm on a
Wow.
66-30-5 soccer run over the last 2 weeks. So I'm just burning holes through every pitch I'm touching. So make sure you check out my plays on the pitch today. I have a Europa League total of the month you can go get. I also have another Europa League play and a Conference League play you can check out, as well as a Copa Argentina and a Copa do Brazil play for some action later tonight on the pitch as well. And I'm coming off an NBA winner last night with the Mavericks, so looking to keep that going. I got one NBA pickup tonight, so make sure you go check that out.
There you go. The never ending roll. That's 15-2. Wow.
Yes, in soccer, the last 3 days.
That's that's Hall of Fame material there. Um, Player of the week. So pretty cool. All right. Well, look, we shall see you tomorrow, and there's a whole bunch of stuff going on this weekend. We'll touch base with soccer. We'll touch base with the playoffs, both NBA and NHL, and probably sprinkle a little baseball into the mix as well. All right, everybody, have a wonderful day. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow.